Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 22nd Lebanon City Council meeting. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excuse me, this is the Board of Works meeting, not the City Council meeting. Sorry for the misspeak there. Next will be the roll call members. Can I have clerk call the roll, please?
Mayor Gentry.
Here.
Becky McClure. Present. Bill Stoner. Present. Dick Robertson.
Here.
Alan Milburn.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, move on to the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes? We'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
To approve minutes.
Motion approved. Is there a second? Second. Second from Alan. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. All right, on to department head reports. First up will be Police Department, Deputy Chief Dickerson.
Hello. So from August 9th to today, we've taken 667 calls for service. 23 persons were arrested for the following crimes. 7 for operating while intoxicated. 7 were wanted on warrants. 2 for illegal consumption by a minor. 1 for HTV, and then the rest of these are all just one person. Public intoxication, neglect of a dependent, possession of controlled substance, possession of marijuana, possession of meth, possession of narcotics. During that same time frame, LPD took 35 crash reports. We had 1 handgun license sent for approval. We had 2 officers, Officer Hampshire and Officer Griffith. They attended the Indiana Associations for Hostage Negotiator Conference in Bloomington. They're both members of the Boone County Crisis Negotiation Team. It was a 3-day conference that they focused on mental health and legal considerations. Officer Grady Robinson, he was our newest to add to this SRT team. And so this week was his first training, and they worked on building clearing, less than lethal, and medical intervention training. And then on August 20th and the 21st, the Lebanon Range, we hosted a modern samurai project. The 2-day red dot pistol class. Scott, which is the instructor, is a highly regarded instructor, and Officer Morgan attended that class. Today at 3 o'clock for our new hires, the ILEA opened for their Tier 1 Academy, and we were able to get all 3 in, so that's all I have.
Good news. Any questions for Deputy Chief Dickerson from the board? Nope. Anything from the public? Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. All right, next up is Fire Department. Deputy Chief Lowry.
Good evening, board. Since the last Board of Works meeting, Lebanon Fire has made 58 emergency calls for service, logged 283 training hours, performed 4 commercial pre-plans, conducted 25 commercial inspections, and participated in 4 TAC meetings, and also taught 2 CPR classes. On August 12th and 13th, Lieutenant Sam Doherty attended a firefighter symposium titled Into the Job. Topics that were included in this is tactics on the fire ground and the reviews of fires from around the country, including lessons learned during these tragic events. LFD participated in the Battle of the Barbecue again this year. We did not take home any trophies this year, but we had a great time interacting with the other participants and the community. We want to thank all the community for coming out and continually supporting that great event and the Boone County Cancer Society. LFD interns Rachel Kersey and Nick Stewart from the Lebanon High School have been busy these last 2 weeks training with the crews and becoming acclimated with the daily routines of shift life and during their time at the station. Engineer today at the station, Engineer Tyler Gary, worked on and they received their CPR certification. The mayor's intern, Josephine Morrison, visited Station 11 last week. They caught a run while she was there taking a tour of the station. I think she was really excited about that, so she's scheduled to come back tomorrow, actually, and get in some fire gear and do our WPE. And we would like to thank Kurt Connect from Zors again for being a great public safety partner. Once again, when we call him and Zors, they set up vehicles for us to do training all the time out at their facility. So just wanted to publicly thank him again for all he does for public safety in Boone County. That's all I have.
Thank you. Robert, any questions for Deputy Flyer from the board? Nope. Anything for the public? Thank you, sir. Next is Parks and Recreation, John Messenger.
Good evening. Playground part finally came in. We've been waiting. This is about the third different one that we've been waiting on. Came in, got installed, came in last Wednesday. The installers were out Thursday. Happy to announce that they completed that today. So now we go on to the next phase, which will be the no-fault surface and the stone. That crew will be in Thursday. Anticipating, expectations are anyway, 1 to 2 weeks for them to do that. I'm giving it 2 weeks, but I think it'll be sooner than that, knock on wood. But we're really excited about it. It's awesome. That was the quiet zone that they had. Really like that they had to install this last group. Happy about that. Youth football at Abner and youth soccer at Reese Park will have a lot of movement out there, a lot of activities for the next 2 months. So be mindful of all the kids out there and parents. There again, the last weekend for Seashore Water Park will be this weekend. However, the splash pad, the free splash pad, will stay open while the weather holds. And hopefully it'll stay warm for a while. Some updates on the programs. The Battle of the Barbecue had a great turnout this past Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago at Memorial Park. Roughly 2,000 people came out to the great event, which helped raise $89,000 for Boone County Cancer Society. Before the Battle of the Barbecue, there's a run in the morning. This was their second annual run. It's You're Not Alone, hosted a 5K walk and run, and they saw record numbers also with 194 walkers and runners. For a second-year event, we were really pleased with that. Daddy-Daughter Dance was this past Saturday. Yeah, it was a huge hit. We saw around 200 plus dads and daughters. Weather turned out great. Pretty worrisome, I think, for Oktoberfest and for this. And it's really nice that we had good weather. Couples enjoyed the DJ on the pavement there, the pavement there at the water park, along with the photo booth, dinner. The hayride was a huge success around the park. Tanya, you probably saw them going around, just groups and groups and groups in front of your house. That was a big hit. Had a blast. The staff had a blast and look forward to next year. Our Fall Pickleball League is now open for registration. Games will be played on Tuesday evenings at 6 and 7 p.m. Be sure to get your registration in by this Wednesday. Cost is $30 per team. Boone County Senior Services Olympics takes place this week. They have water aerobics that'll take place in Seashore Water Park, and tomorrow will be lively down at Abner Longley Park with horseshoe contest, and those seniors can throw their shoes. So if you get a chance, come down and look at some good competition there. Good fun time. Colonial Market Days will be held this year on September 16th and 17th and 18th at Abner Longley Park. And then there again, Lincoln, Lebanon, and Civil War reenactment will take place on September 24th and 25th in Memorial Park. And there's a new club out now for 6 and 8-year-olds and their dads anyway, starting at the Hot Pond after school, 4 o'clock, I think 4 to 6, fishing club. And I think that's pretty cool. Haven't had that before, haven't had any fishing clubs, but looking forward, pretty excited. I think there's about 15 or 20 kids, so real excited. There's a couple dads taking charge of that. Really appreciate it, and they'll have a good time, and there's fish to catch, so that's all I had.
Thank you, John. Any questions for John from the board? Anything from the public? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next is Engineering Department, Kim Krulik.
Thank you. Good evening. Engineering report for tonight. I'm narrowing in on our pavement resurfacing programs for next year. Tentatively, still evaluating our PASER study. In fact, we're getting kind of down to the end of our PASER study. We've had some good success in the last couple of years with the community crossing grants, so we're actually pretty far ahead. So we're kind of scraping the leftovers off the bottom of that 5-year study that we really are completing in about 3 years. So some of the new roads that have really come to our attention, though, that we are definitely going to address is County Road 250 North from Whit Road to the railroad crossing. We know per the Pacer study, we got to go back into the Chadwick neighborhood and finish that up. We did about half, a little more than half last year. So it'll be on Berry Drive from Grant Boulevard to Travis Drive. Monroe Crescent from Grant Boulevard to the end of the cul-de-sac. Got a small section of Outer Drive that's in really bad shape there between Ullin and Lebanon High School that we need to take care of. And then probably the biggest project on the street would be East Street from Washington down here to Noble Street along the trail project that needs to be addressed. And like I said, there's a few others within the study that I'm evaluating that we'll probably add to that list, but those are the big ones that we know will be on the program for next year and be going into our community crossing applications that will go in next week. Other projects around the city, Whit Road is probably the top of most people's mind. Unfortunately, we, as a lot of people know, we got a revised schedule from the contractor last week on Thursday that was not contemplating a road opening until the 29th. So the last schedule update we had provided was opening today. And if you're familiar with that area, you know we're nowhere near opening as of today. Curbs are expected to go in this week. They were out string lining for curbs today. They'll be back testing curb string lining equipment and the slip form machines tomorrow, and then curbs Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we'll wrap up the curbs, and then we're going to turn right around and try to put asphalt down on Saturday in anticipation of being ready to open the road on Monday. A lot of other work going on around there, and there's a lot of things that have to happen. So I'm tentatively saying that, we'll have the ability to open the road at some point next week. But right now, the schedule provided by the contractor seems to be fitting with that. I do want to remind everyone that the contractor is not off the hook for these delays. They're under the liquidated damages clauses of their contract, which actually triggered and started on August 1. So they're accruing $1,000 a day penalties at this point for every day that they do not open the road. And we'll continue to track that and continue to push as hard as we can. Other projects, Whit Road, the road project, the federal aid project that's scheduled for 2027. We have completed our RFP process for engineering and right-of-way acquisitions. As you were here last meeting, we selected American Structure Point for that contract. We have finalized all of our documentation with NDOT on that selection and are expecting to have contracts executed in the next week or two. Elmwood Bridge, no major changes there. Duncan Robertson is now fully under contract. USI was selected for the bridge inspection. A meeting with USI tomorrow for sort of an early coordination meeting and hopefully begin to see what schedules are starting to fall out for next year. But this time I do not have a schedule for that bridge project. Grant Street, a lot going on Grant Street. We're in the middle of phase 1, obviously, which is Williams Street from east of Ann Street to west of Grant Street. Obviously, that's under a full closure and will remain closed until the end of October. But we also have stuff outside of that phase 1, like some storm sewers in the intersection of Grant and Williams, sanitary sewer that ran up the east side of Grant and is now getting ready to turn the corner onto Williams Street. This has probably been the biggest source of frustration over the last 3 days is the existing utility conflicts that are in the intersection of Grant and Williams were quite troublesome. So is some unsuitable soil conditions that we ran into. So we had to do an unscheduled closure on Saturday for that work. They just could not safely keep the intersection open while they were working. We had to close it again today. Grant Street is back open. The east side of Williams Street will remain closed though, so just east of Grant Street on Williams. You can't turn in there either right now, but we will get Williams Street open to the east of Grant sometime tomorrow. Again, all those same issues. We've got 80-year-old high-pressure gas pipelines in that area, so it's something we need to take our time and be careful with. And then the soil conditions are not helping. So, again, working through those issues, and then really we'll be back into the limits of Phase 1, which is really all the work west of Grant Street on Williams Street. And that will happen up until the end of October. Then we shut down through the winter, with the exception of possibly some utility work along the west side of Grant Street, including water mains. And then really the heavy construction and reconstruction of Grant Street, Phases 2 and 3. Again, always keeping one lane open to the north, will happen next year between April and the end of October as well. Again, I talked about the unexpected closures. Apologize for those. Those are really unforeseen conditions, but due to safety of the workers and safety of the traveling public, we didn't feel like we had any choice. But we should be clear of those issues sometime tomorrow. Grant Street Phase 2 is a little ways off, not looking at that till 2026, but we've also wrapped up our RFP process. As you know, we selected Butler, Fairman, and Seifert to round out that project with doing the right-of-way buying, and contracts are expected to be finalized in the next 2 weeks. Fordyce Street, we're still under the same course there of construction in 24 and 25 to align with the new Central Elementary School opening in the fall of 25. But we have an opportunity. We've had a lot of, working with our partners at Lebanon Utilities, they've had a lot of issues with the sanitary mains along Fordyce between Park and Grant. They've had a lot of lateral failures, some main failures in that area. So they're going to be going in there in the next 3 or 4 weeks or so and reinstalling new sanitary sewer. We're going to take advantage of that and work with their contractor to provide some additional storm sewer inlets along that road, probably 3 or 4 of them. Really will help drainage. We've got some drainage problems in the area, but this will be some infrastructure that we'll have in and out of the way in anticipation of the trail project in that area. So we'll look for more on that. We're just beginning to coordinate that with Lebanon Utilities, and we appreciate them offering the opportunity there for us to move that forward. Big Four Trail expansion. Really, most of the concrete work, almost all the concrete work south of Superior Street on the east side of East Street is complete at this point, with one exception. That's just some ramps at the entrance into Aberlongley Park. That work will be done this week, and that will essentially complete everything from here south. We're tentatively looking at asphalt work, which would cover some of the the alley approaches, as well as the final surface coat of asphalt in and across Aberlongley Park. Possibly looking at mid next week, but that's a little bit in flux there, and we've got some coordination with Lebanon Utilities and their water storage tank that's also trying to mesh with that schedule. But essentially now we are turning the corner onto Superior Street, sort of hitting the home stretch. You probably noticed the excavation that took place today along the north side of this building, and shortly we'll be putting that in and then turning the corner onto Meridian Street. Stone Eater Bike Park, just a couple of updates there. We had a really good meeting with some representatives of the IEDC on the Ready Grant program. So we made that presentation last week. They're tentatively looking at $750,000 being pledged to the park. It seemed to be a really good feedback in that presentation. They like the sort of regional aspect of that. They like the active living components. So I think it's a good project for those Ready programs, and we'll see some success there. Plans are now at 100%. We're finalizing, wrapping up all of our permitting issues with the county and the state, and should have all that complete here shortly. We're also working with some local contractors who have thankfully offered to sort of proof our construction documents. This is a local contractor that's also done bike parks before, so get us some more solid budget numbers. But to look at our funding proposal, we've got $500,000 from the ARP grant. We now have a sanitation fund balance of roughly $900,000. The potential Ready grant of $750,000 really puts us into maybe a potential gap of around $300,000 and $350,000 is what we're looking at. And so we're still working through those options of how to close that gap. And that does include a huge earthwork donation from Merit Contracting that is, will hopefully be starting here shortly. Let's see. Only other thing really is regional detention. We had a meeting with the County Drainage Board last week. That went really well. We will anticipate entering into an MOU with the county where the city will reconstruct the Price legal drain. This is the legal drain that goes from the east side of State Road 39 west and under the railroad tracks. The city would be reconstructing that on the county's behalf. It would still remain a county legal drain, and then once we're complete, the county would accept and maintain that final construction. And with that, leaves me our inspection reports. Since the last meeting, since 7/25, we completed 16 SWIP inspections, 3 complaint inspections, 8 right-of-way inspections, 0 illicit discharge inspections, which is good that we don't see any of those. That's all I have. Any questions I can answer?
Thank you, Kevin. Any questions for Kevin from the board? Anything from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next is Planning Department. Ben Bontrager.
Good evening, board members. Since the last Board of Works meeting, the Planning Department completed 82 building inspections, so we're still averaging about 80 to 100 inspections every couple of weeks. This is really strong activity. We also issued 36 additional permits. One of those was a new residential permit, and also on the commercial side, we had 3 permits that we issued, all related to industrial projects. So we're going to see pretty strong activity with industrial construction throughout the rest of this year. We're coming up on the end of August, about 3/4 of the way through the year. I wanted to go back and look and see where we stood with our single-family building permits, just to see where we stood with some of our last active years. And we're a little over 90 permits that we've issued in the first 8 months of the year, which is already our highest total that we've had in the last 5 years. So we'll probably be a little bit slower the last quarter, just because we have several neighborhoods that are in between sections, if you will, where they're building the next section, don't have a whole bunch of lots left. But I still expect that we'll eclipse 100 permits this year on single family, which is a great year for us. In terms of other construction, we are expecting to issue permits for Taco Bell and 7 Brew on the north end of town, probably in the next week or two. And then ideally, we expect to issue the permit to start construction on the Fieldhouse project, but within the next month as well. So again, good projects moving forward there. Expect to see a lot of construction activity, particularly on the non-residential side over the winter time. On the code enforcement side, a lot of activity over the last couple of weeks. I think the couple weeks prior, we had to cover for the front desk while Christy was gone on vacation for a week, but we did catch up. 140 different investigation activities happened over the last couple of weeks. And then also we had an interestingly high number of new cases over the last couple of weeks, or 30 new cases just in the last couple of weeks. So a lot of activity there in the codes enforcement as we close out the year. One other thing I just wanted to mention, because I won't be here in a couple of weeks because I'm taking a couple days off, but Matt and I will actually be attending the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana Regional Planning Conference coming up later in September. It's a great opportunity to get together with other planning professionals from around the 3-state region and look at new trends and things related to planning. So it'll be a good conference for us to attend there later in September. That's all I got. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ben. Any questions for Ben from the board? Anything from the public? Okay, thank you, sir. No Dave tonight, unless Kevin, you've got his report? Okay.
Thank you. I do have Dave's report. So street and stormwater report. In the last couple of weeks, they've been busy keeping up on cleaning catch basins of debris, mowing around town, I think we all are, and keeping easements picked up from other trash and debris as well. Crews have been out saw cutting and repairing potholes. If you have a pothole you would like to report, you can do that through the app, or they would also recommend that you call the street department, 765-482-8870, to report any potholes, and they'll get those on the list for repairs. Stormwater crew has been busy repairing drains, structures, and pipes as needed. They're currently waiting on new structures to come in before they can complete any more drain installations. I'd like to remind everyone they still have job openings at the street department, and please inquire at their office or online. And then the new street department is still, the new street department garage, still ongoing earthwork, storm pipe going in the ground, connecting the new pond with the existing pond. Water lines are being installed. They've poured the piers, and the building is on schedule to see a steel package arrive this week. I'm sorry, that was the schedule. It was been pushed back a little bit, so it was scheduled to arrive this week and has been pushed back a week. But that is ongoing, and still feel confident we can complete that on schedule, which is next summer before that is occupied by the city. Brush Week for this season is the second full week of the month, July through October. The dates are as follows: September 12th through the 16th, and October 10th through the 14th. And that's all I have from Dave.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. All right, next, or last but not least, Communications and Community Development, Joe LePage.
Good evening, everyone. The Communications Department's been busy working on new resident reach out and also correspondence with our tourism as well. The Welcome Home page is now complete. Welcome Home packets were distributed to title companies in town and also Lebanon utilities. Remember, this has the website has the interactive city map with it. It has a list of annual events, the Love and Lebanon loyalty card as well, where area businesses are helping out, welcoming our new residents to town. The Potential Art Council will meet on Thursday at 7 o'clock, at 6:30 rather, at the Craft Room downtown. That meeting will be our creatives. You may remember our creative community call-outs that we've had. We'll be establishing the name, the mission statement, and the officers for this Potential Art Council, our organization. We'll also be working towards incorporation that will enable the group to file for grants, moving closer to a cultural trail or cultural district designation. On the creative fronts, spoke with Scott Trafford, mural artist, and he is outlining the new mural on State Road 32/South Street. So stay tuned for Community Creation Days. Remember those that took place on Lafayette Avenue with the Ocean Escape mural. If you'd like to get involved in our creative community, just reach out via email, info@lebanon.in.gov. And coming up, saving the dates, there are just a few Lebanon City Markets left. Those take place on Tuesdays from 5 o'clock until 7 through the month of August. And Music on the Plaza is every Friday from 6:30 until 8:30.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions for Joe from the board? Anything from the public? Yeah. Thank you, sir. All right, that concludes department head reports. Move on to old business. If there's nothing on my agenda, is there anything from the board?
No.
Okay, new business then. First item up is bid opening for street lighting on Northeast Street. Kevin? Oh, I guess Tanya has that. Never mind.
Thank you. We have one bid opening for tonight. It is for installation of street lighting along Northeast Street from the intersection of Washington Street north to Hewlin Drive. This is for installation only. The city has already directly purchased that lighting equipment, which will be en route in the next 2 weeks. So through this process, there was a mandatory pre-bid meeting that any potential bidders had to attend. We had two bidders attend that meeting. That one is Setco Electric and one is Morphe Construction, and both have submitted a bid. So they are both eligible bidders, and both have submitted bid packages. Without further ado, I will open the bid package from Setco Electric LLC.
Is that Setco?
Setco, S-E-T-C-O. So we have a total lump sum bid at $205,171. Again, from Setco Electric, 205,171. Second bid package is from Morphe Construction. That's M-O-R-P-H-E-Y. There we go. And Morphe Construction bid is at $478,000, 478,000 for Morphe Construction. So we will evaluate these and ensure that they are complete and responsive, but it would appear, based on the reading, that the apparent low bidder is Setco Electric at a cost of $205,171.
Thank you, Kevin, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Again, we will review those, and then if we feel like they're appropriate, we will award at our next meeting, which will be September 12th at 5:30 PM. All right, next up, East Ridge permit approval, Ben?
Thank you. A little bit of history here. A number of months ago, the planning department issued a permit for an accessory structure, a storage barn, to the Eastridge, Dennis Eastridge on 1016 Fairlane Drive. That permit was actually issued in error. They had located the structure within the county's regulated drain easement. We missed that issue, and they began construction. Later discovered by the surveyor's office that was being constructed in their easement, and they needed to move it. In the course of moving it, there were a number of materials that were wasted as part of that process. Obviously, once you pour concrete, you can't move it. And then also, they had to resize the structure to make it fit outside of the easement, so the trusses that were custom made for his size of structure were no longer able to be used. So they came and talked to us about that, and we clearly issued the permit in error and offered to them to reimburse them for the costs associated with those materials that they could not reuse. The total cost of those materials is $1,410.54. This isn't a typical invoice that we get and pay like some of our other items, so when discussing it with Mr. Shine, he recommended we bring this to the Board of Works for approval. And then also, maybe you just want to fill in on the settlement part of it, what we need to do in terms of that moving forward from this meeting.
Yeah, Board, Mr. Bontrager is correct, and I suggested that we would just seek board approval and then just resolve it ultimately with a letter that would just be a satisfaction of this type of claim.
Ben, can you repeat how much the settlement was for again?
$1,410.54.
Any questions or concerns for Ben on that?
Nope.
Okay. I would entertain a motion then to approve the settlement concerning the East Ridge permit for a total amount not to exceed $1,410.54.
I make a motion, we approve the East Ridge permit approval for settlement in the amount of $1,410.54.
We have a motion approved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Alan. For discussion? All in favor say aye. Oh,
Aye.
those opposed? Okay, that's approved. Go ahead, Tanya.
Do we know where this is going to be paid from?
Ben, do you know where you plan to pay this from?
I was going to talk to Tanya about that, just to figure out what line made the most sense to take out. It was a couple
We'll
different
get
places,
together.
maybe we can.
That's fine. We'll talk later.
All right, thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes what I have for new business. Is there anything from the board? Okay, would entertain a motion concerning the claims?
I make a motion, we approve the claims.
We have a motion to approve the claims. Is there a second? Second. Second from Judge. Those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Claims are approved. Any further announcements or discussion from the board? Any general public comment? Okay, would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Bill wants to leave. Motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. The city council meeting will start at 7:15.